A few years ago, I wanted to find out who King James I of England really was. Why did he make a new Bible, named after himself no less, when Christians already had a Bible written in English, the Geneva Bible? Christians loved that Bible, and it happened to have the most accurate Greek to English translation of the New Testament anyone could want. That's because William Tyndale wrote the translation. Not only was he a renowned Greek scholar from both Oxford and Cambridge universities, but he happened to have a passion to expose the corruptions of the state church and how their teachings went against what scriptures actually say. I also wanted to know, why did King James feel the need for translators when he was about to use the same Tyndale New Testament in English and the same Old Testament in English that were found in the Geneva Bible? Why was he calling for translators when no further translation was going to take place? What did King James really have in mind? Well, King James was a power-hungry king, we do know that, and he hated the Geneva Bible. Not only did the Geneva Bible expose corrupt church practices and teachings by its very translation, but it contained special notes in the margins placed there by certain reformers who wanted to make sure that the readers knew how blatantly the church of the state contradicted what the Bible actually taught. King James knew he had to do something about that Bible. By exposing the wicked power structure in the church, the Geneva Bible had damaged his own political power. So, at the advice of a few religious men, he decided to launch a new Bible of his own, whereby he could hopefully reinstitute that ungodly power structure, but in a way that would seem less obvious and hopefully less offensive to the Christians. If he did it right, they'd never notice. What a great idea. And if his writers could appear sincere in their writing, hopefully the readers, not knowing Greek or having the Greek text, would never know that what they were reading were erroneous paraphrases rather than actual translations. With the help of his friend Bishop Bancroft, King James approved 15 rules of translation for those so-called translators to follow. Though King James was obviously not a Greek scholar himself, James did know the power structure he was aiming for, and so he instructed those scholars to rewrite the text wherever possible to include power structure terms, even though those terms had no correlation to the original Greek texts. His scholars, aka translators, had no choice but to follow his agenda and disregard accuracy. Once his Bible was finished, the Christians recognized the diabolical changes he had made. They also immediately recognized the Rosicrucian and Freemasonic images dispersed throughout the Bible, beginning with the front page itself. King James was a Freemason, and his new Bible clearly reflected that fact. King James subsequently made it a felony to read the Geneva Bible. Anyone caught reading it was put in prison. So, scores of Christians left England to come to America for religious freedom. Today, we call those Christians the Pilgrims. We celebrate what they did at Thanksgiving. But how many of us knew that it was King James and the King James Bible that those pilgrims came here to escape? When the Pilgrims came here, they brought their Geneva Bibles with them. Finally, they could read the Geneva Bible without fear of being thrown into prison. No longer were they forced to read what they described as, quote, the wicked Bible from the wicked king. Today, Christians everywhere read that wicked Bible from the wicked king, the King James Bible. We didn't know. Certainly, the Bible contains a lot of uncorrupted content, but the wicked changes it does contain have done immeasurable harm to the plan that Jesus had in mind for his people, as you will see. Sadly, most of the other Bible translations followed suit in using those same unscriptural terms and promoting the same unscriptural hierarchy. No doubt, most people just assume that King James sponsored a rigorous translation from the original text. After all, he had hired all those scholars to, quote, translate. But in reality, nothing could be further from the truth. Today, with the help of Greek scholars and access to the original Greek text, we can see clearly what the Greek text did say compared to the lies that King James had inserted into his text. It's time to expose those evil word changes. To do that, we have a book written by George Davis and Michael Clark called The Great Ecclesiastical Conspiracy. They offer it in PDF form online at no charge and also in audio form for free as well. I have downloaded that audio and edited it so that you can listen to it however you would like. I have uploaded the entire book, which is about an hour and 50 minutes, and I've listened to that several times when driving or taking a walk. It's an audio-only video. I've also uploaded Chapter 1 by itself, The King's New Bible, the story of King James, his quest for power, and how he came up with his new Bible. I've also uploaded Chapter 2 by itself, Twisted Scriptures. In this chapter, I consider the most critical part of the book. It presents the numerous, most damaging words King James used that we have thought for centuries were supposed to be there, but in fact actually contradicted the original Greek text. Also, if you would like to go to specific words and hear about the wicked word substitutions one word at a time, I have uploaded it in that way as well. I've had this burden for a long time. The words we read in our very own Bibles promoting chain of command hierarchy are words that were put there by King James and not the original text. We were never meant to obey Christian leaders. Christian leaders were never meant to rule over other believers. There are no offices in the kingdom of heaven, as you will see. All of these concepts and more came from the hellish influence of King James and not the original Greek text. It's time now to prove that the wicked hierarchy depicted in the King James New Testament came from King James and not the original text. May the truth set you free and set others free as you in turn spread the truth. The Lord bless you as you do.